What's going on, YouTube? So today I want to take you back to the past a little bit on the Magic the Gathering from back when I used to play years and years ago and started to collect. One of the sets that I remember that stood out among the rest was Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights was like you would look at somebody's album of cards they had and that they wanted to trade and stuff like that, and everybody would have like a random one and just came out of nowhere. They're just like, what's this card from? And they'd say, oh, it's from Arabian Nights. Oh, what's it do? Well, it was just, they would tell you what it does and then that was it. But it was just that set was just so elusive and so scarce that you'd only ever see one here, one there, and just not a whole lot of them just everywhere. So it was always one of those sets that eluded me and one that I always wanted to collect for, but it was very hard to get into it back then. One, because they were just hard to find, So as I became older and started, having a job and was able to be able to get more things and have my own inflow of money and all the time, I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put together this set. So what I'm about to show you is the whole entire set of Arabian Nights, which I collected over the years, and it's just kind of like a capstone to collecting on MTG. So without further ado, I'll show you the cards and let you see what it's all about. So when this set came out, I think there was something around 78 cards, and this was the first expansion to Magic. So if you are familiar with Magic, there was two basic sets that came out, or now they call them core sets, and it was Alpha, Beta, and then those were the first two sets. There wasn't a whole lot of them made, so they're worth a fortune now. Some of those harder to get cards like the Moxes and the Black Lotuses, things like that. But once Magic picked up and they saw that there was a market for it, they started to produce expansions. So this is the first expansion, Arabian Nights. So let me show you here. First off, I have this is the artist, or like a checklist of the different people who made the cards and the artists and whatnot in alphabetical order and what they are and the rarity, so on and so forth. What color. Some of the colors are there, some aren't, but okay, so here we go. Here's the first few cards here. This one is, I'll just pick a few of them out that I remember that I saw a lot of in people's collections, but they never would trade them, or they might actually be in the common box sometimes. So like these, like this one, Abu Jafar, Aladdin's ring, Aladdin's lamp. Some of these, like, they were in the common box, or you'd see them in someone's collection, and they really aren't that good. I mean, they, as far as today's standard goes, the cards, they don't do a lot. Some of them are pretty good, but a lot of them just aren't. They just don't do anything quite as powerful as the cards that they make now. But they still have that collector's mindset to them. Like Ali from Cairo. I mean, could you imagine having this card back in the day? I mean, if you just look at it there. Hang on, let me get a light real quick. There. Maybe a little better. I was trying to watch the light because it's got that shine. It's kind of hard to see. But there you go. Maybe you can do it a little better that way. But so Ali from Cairo. When Ali's in play, damage that will reduce you to less than 1 life lowers you to 1 life. All further damage is prevented. It's like a circle protection on a creature, So if you put like a Mystic Veil on that guy or something, you pretty much don't die. You can't die. You can just sit there and take damage all day long, game will never end, you won't die. So, I mean, that guy is ridiculously powerful for what he does. Alright, and he's only, what, like 4 mana to get out. So you could have him out in red, I don't know, maybe the second turn if you had a Soul Ring. You know, so that guy is pretty good. Another one here, Bazaar of Baghdad. Now, Bazaar of Baghdad, this is a tap to take 2 cards from your library, after which you must immediately discard 3 from your hand to your graveyard. If you don't have 3 or more cards in your hand, discard your whole hand. No spells may be cast between drawing and discarding a card. So, card advantage, right? It's a big deal. Now, if you can believe this card is actually, let's see, I think it's a... Oh yeah, it's uncommon. So this is an uncommon. It's not even rare, and it's one of the more valuable cards in the set. So you think about that for a minute. You draw 2 cards up out of your library, and you discard 3. So, I mean, what are you gaining from that? It doesn't seem like a whole lot because you're losing an extra card. But the thing is, like, if you got that on your first turn and you didn't have what you're looking for to take the advantage of the board, then maybe that would be what you need to do, right, to take advantage of the board. Well, I don't know. That card's kind of cool for what it is, but I don't know if I'd play it today. It probably wouldn't do very much for you. But back then, let's say you had you drew up a couple Moxes and a couple of lands and maybe a Black Lotus, right? So that would be a common hand back in the day because of when this set was around. And you'd have, say you didn't have any need for the land because you had the Black Lotus and the 2 Moxes. So you just drop your 3 card, or drop your 2 cards, right? And then find out which one that you want to keep because maybe it could be an awesome creature or something like that. And then you discard the 2 lands and another card. And then you keep the one other card that you had, and boom, now you can throw your whole entire hand on the table and have advantage on like the first turn. Okay, so that was a common practice back then. So next we have City of Brass. Now City of Brass has been reprinted and reprinted and reprinted so many times, but it's still a great card. You know, you get to tap it, take 1 damage. It's like the ultimate pain land. You don't have to. You have to pay your life to tap into it and use it, but you can also get any color that you want, right? So, I mean, boom, first turn, you can throw it on the table, and you have all 5 colors at your disposal. And there's so many cards that comment that one, like Reflecting Pool from Tempest is another one. The Reflecting Pool is a non-basic land that lets you get any type of land color from any type of land source that your land can produce. So let's say you play this on the first turn, you play Reflecting Pool on the second turn, or vice versa. Second turn, you have 2 of any color land at your disposal, right like that. Boom. No problem, right? So just pretty cool card. Let's see, next one that I remember, like these ones here, Diamond Valley, right? So tap to sacrifice 1 of your creatures in exchange for a number of life points equal to its toughness. Note that this ability may be used after blocking has been declared. Honestly, I mean, like I said, that's probably another one that was good for the time, but nowadays in the different decks they play, I'm not so sure that would help you, to be honest with you. And the next one is Drop of Honey. This one would actually still be kind of viable today, and it would just ruin everyone's day, especially if you're playing something like... if you're playing like a permission deck, or one that does like maybe a direct damage, one that doesn't have any creatures in it, and maybe or maybe Emperor Magic, and you're playing with a lot of people, you could throw this out and it would just wreck the whole table. I mean, here, I'll read it to you. So that's the other thing with the Arabian Nights and these older sets. It's kind of hard to see what the cards say. If you look here, like that is a 2, but look how faded it is. So hard to see it, but that's a 2. So it's 2 colorless and 1 green to play it. During upkeep, the creature in play with the lowest power is destroyed and can't be regenerated. If there's a tie, you choose which to destroy. Drop of honey must be discarded if there are no creatures in play. So it's like a pestilence, but it always takes effect. You don't have to pay anything into it other than the original casting costs. That would be just, oh my gosh, devastating for an entire group of people if you were to play that out right now in today's Magic. So still a prominent card. Urg Raiders, another great. This is really awesome for your, I guess your, what do you call it, a weenie stompy deck, something like that, like where you have a bunch of little low casting cost creatures to play out real fast, and then you can make them real big with enchantments or say instant spells. Like if you were to play green and black and you played this guy out, you get him out of your second turn because he's only 2, right? One colorless and one black, but he has to attack each turn if possible, or they do 2 damage to you. So yes, there is a spell that you could play on this and cause him just to be sitting there doing damage to you constantly, but it's all about advantage, trying to get that guy out quick. So there's a, here, let me show you real quick. There's a card that complements that one just well, just really good, right? And I'll show you what it looks like here. So here we go. So Dark Ritual, if you can read that. Oh, excuse me, Unholy Strength, yeah. So there's that one, right? Unholy Strength and Dark Ritual. Here's the other one, Dark Ritual, yeah. So it's a 2-card combo, right? Costs 1 black to play, or to get 3 black. So first turn, drop a swamp, use it, play this, and then you get 3 black, right? So you take your 3 black and you play your Urg Raiders, which is a 2/3, and your Unholy Strength, which is add +2/+1. So now you got a 4/3 on the first turn that's going to attack your opponent next turn after it's out in play for 1 turn. So this card right here was also in Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, the early sets, right? So this was a perfect card to put on with that one and that one. So if you had those in your hand the first turn, you know, you automatically got advantage. Pretty good card. Let's see here. Next one was Ernam Jin, or Ernam Jin, I guess you say. During your upkeep, you must choose one of opponent's non-wall creatures in play. Until your next upkeep, that creature gains the Forest Walk ability if your opponent has no creatures. Ignore this effect. Okay. So, Forest Walk. I have to jog my memory here. So, okay, so basically what that means is that if a creature has Forest Walk, then you own a forest. You can't block it. Okay? So, because this guy is a 4/5 for 4, right? So that's pretty good. 4/5 for 4. Then he has to have some type of drawback. That's what a lot of these cards had back in the day. You know, you couldn't have a spectacular card with no drawback. And those that do have it, some of them do have a lot. Most of, like, a good majority of the legendary cards or not legendary, but legacy, I should say, legacy type set cards or legacy type cards do have this very little drawback. Whereas some people you would argue with today would probably say that the newer cards have no drawback, it seems like, because they're so strong. But from my understanding, the way I could read these cards back in the day was that if you had a common that did a lot of stuff, it had a heavy drawback, right? If you had a rare that did a lot of stuff or had a lot of power, a lot of toughness, did a crazy effect, then it had a little drawback because it was a rare, okay? Well, Ernam Jin was a, let's see what it says here, I'm pretty sure it was a rare. Yeah, so Ernam Jin was a rare. So your drawback is a non-walk creature to give Forest Walk to. So let's say they have a flying man, right? I'm looking. He's like a 1/1. Okay, so I'm gonna give your flying man Forest Walk. So this 1/1 next turn can attack me for 1 because I have Forest in play because I'm playing this guy, right? Or say you put this guy in a deck that doesn't have any Forest. Say you go and you have a deck that doesn't have any basic land in it, and you run it off of non-basic land like City of Brass or Reflecting Pool or Gemstone 9. You know, something that doesn't. You wouldn't be able to use the Forest Block ability given to the opponent because you wouldn't have any Forest. So that makes him pretty good creature card for back in the day, right? And they reprinted him later on in Chronicles too. But still, pretty cool card. Flying Men is another one that stands out. A 1/1 for 1 flyer. That means a 1/1 for 1 flyer and it's blue. So I mean, I don't know. That's pretty cool. Another one is Guardian Beast that stood out. So Guardian Beast, let me read this one to you here. As long as Guardian Beast is untapped, your non-creature artifacts cannot be further enchanted, destroyed, or taken under someone else's control. If something occurs that would destroy the Guardian Beast and artifacts simultaneously, the Guardian Beast is destroyed, but your artifacts are not. If an artifact is enchanted or stolen while Guardian Beast is tapped, it remains so when the Guardian Beast becomes tapped or untapped. So what does that mean? It means that he protects your artifacts, right? So if you had Moxes in play, or say you had a Soul Ring or something like that, one of those really awesome cards that every deck could use, then they can't be destroyed by something like a Shatter or a Disenchant because this card won't allow it. So pretty cool card. Alright, so next we got If Biff Ifrit. So, If Biff Ifrit, this color and artwork went on to another card in another set called a Serendipity Ifrit. Okay? Now, Serendipity Ifrit is a 3... Here, I'll actually show you real quick. I think it's on this one. He's actually in this set. I can't remember what it is. I think it's a 2/3 flyer. Or 3. I can't remember for sure. What do we got here? No, 3/4 flyer for 3. Yeah, so 3/4 flyer for 3. Anyways, when they released Serendipity Ifrit in a revised, they used this artwork for him. Okay? Not the artwork that's in Arabian Nights. And the Serendipity Ifrit in revised, the color is kind of messed up looking too. So I don't have one to show you here, but I can show you what the original one looks like. So anyways, the If Biff Ifrit, read that one. This one stands out. So keep this guy in mind. I got a story to get to on this one later on. So while If Biff Ifrit is in play, any player can pay 1 green to have If Biff Ifrit do 1 damage to each player and each flying creature in play. This ability does not tap the If Biff Ifrit and can be used as soon as it is successfully summoned. So, in Magic, there's a thing called Summoning Sickness, right? That's what they call it. Basically, what it means is that you can't attack with a creature unless it has an ability called Haste. And attacking means to, like literally turn the card like this, okay? Unless it has another ability called Vigilance, which doesn't require it to tap. But so when they say tap it, right? A lot of people will, instead of doing this, you know, this is tapping, right? They will turn it, and some of these older cards actually have the tap symbol on it, where it shows you're turning it, right? So you take it like this and you tap it like that. So that's showed as tapped, okay? This card doesn't require the creature to tap. So anytime a creature's brought into play and has an ability on it that doesn't require it to tap, it's just on there. It can be used immediately as the card is played. So that's why it says it right there. that it can be played as soon or used as soon as it comes into play because it doesn't require tapping. So if you have a creature that is affected by summoning sickness and you need to tap it to use an ability, you can't do it till the following turn, unless it has haste. All right, moving on. So if Biff a Freet. All right, next we got Ernam Jin. Now this is probably one of my favorite cards in the set. Now Ernam Jin is a 5/5 for 4 mana, 2 colorless and 2 black, or 2 swamps. He automatically does 1 damage to you during the upkeep period, like all the time. So he'll never not do 1 damage to you. So when it comes to Ernam Jin, the Jin, however you want to say it, one of the combos that I like to pull off when I had these cards back in the day, because I used to have 2 of these before they were outrageously expensive. But so I would play like this, right? There you go. So this was a common hand that you could have like drawn up on the first go, right? Now they had since then restricted Dark Ritual. I'm not really sure if it's still restricted or not, but Dark Ritual was it was like a staple for just about any black deck. If you ever built a black deck, you would almost all the time have 4 Dark Rituals in it. Like there was no reason to not have them in there. They're just that great. So what you do is you just have your 1 swamp, right, and you play this one, and then you take 1 off of this one to play this one. So now you got 5. Now I got 5 black mana. So I use 1 of the 5 and play this on top of this guy that costs 4. So this is the first turn, right? So, I go first, and I play this on the table, and now I got a 7/6 that does 1 damage to me every turn. And now it's your turn. So if you can't do something with this guy, I'm going to beat you in 3 turns. I mean, just super powerful. And this guy is like the poster child for Magic, too, because he's just over, like, when people, I don't know, they go back and look and show Magic cards, they always bring this guy up. He's just so famous in Magic. So, just to let you know, that one of my favorite out of this set. Another one that stands out among the rest is Curd Ape. I know this one's a common and just, like, has been reprinted 100 times. But it's just a really good card in the right deck. So, if you look at it, it's a 1/2... or excuse me, a 1/1 creature for 1 mountain, okay? So, look at his ability. Curd Ape gains +1/+2 if you have any forest in play. So if you're playing, you're rocking the forest and mountains and stuff, and you're playing a dual color deck, which it would be common for the time because of, you had the dual lands and stuff, then that would be a perfect card to have in your deck. Because, I mean, that's a super fat creature that you can get on the table first turn, and first turn, and then the second turn, he's going to be a super fat creature, unless you played him. I mean, you could do, like, Mox Emerald and a Mox Ruby and a Forest. So if you had him in your hand first turn, you play your Mox Ruby, you play him out there, and then you have your Forest in play. So he's automatically a 2/3 on the first turn. But, Mox Ruby, hey, if you want to have a $1,500 card, that's on you. But yes, it's possible. You can also do it with like a Lotus Petal too, which is $1,500. But that's another possibility. Next we have Library of Alexandria. This card, this is the second one of these I've ever had. Pretty cool. You can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or you can tap it to draw a card in your hand if you have exactly 7. So card advantage is another one of the card advantage lands. Probably one of the most expensive lands in Magic. I would say it's a toss-up between this one and Underground Sea dual land. By far the most expensive land in Magic, I think, to have. Pretty good to have this one, like, say, on the first turn. Let's say you played it, right? So now you have 6. And then you pass your turn. or say you go second, right? And person passes their turn, and now you play. So you draw a card. Now you have 8 cards in your hand, and you play this down. Now, and then you tap it and use it right away. So now you have another card in your hand. So you card advantage, right? So you already have 8 cards in your hand. And like I said before, with all these other cards that I've been talking about, this one is, you know, it would have been common in this time frame for people that own Black Lotuses and Moxes and all that kind of stuff to play with. I mean, that would be a common thing. So this would have been used a lot back then, more than likely. So moving on, we got another one that stood out. Now this card had a good buddy of mine. His name was Mark, right? Mark owned this card. He owned it for a long time. And it is the Arabian Night Mountain. Now he didn't own this particular one, but he's the one that introduced me to this mountain. It's the only land card, basic land card in the set. The only one. So it's very interesting because it's just, you don't see a lot of people with this land. And trust me, it is a common, but you're not going to find it in a common box. I guarantee you that. You're not going to find it in a land box. You'd find that in the glass case with all the other high dollar cards, because it is a super rare, hard to get basic land. And I know it's, you know, people that play Magic a lot know that that's probably kind of funny to say, you know, rare basic land. But it is, trust me. Anyways, back when I first was playing, my buddy Mark had that card, and I always thought it, and it was one of the ones that got me interested in this set, to be honest with you. But he always wanted to get rid of some of his cards and everything like that, because he was trying to save up for college and help pay his way and all this. So he sold me that card, and I kept it for a long, long time, and then I think I ended up getting rid of it years ago. But anyways, I have it now, and that's one of the cooler cards in the set because it's a basic land in the first expansion. So, kind of cool. Oh, there is one more on this one I'd like to point out. This Cabal Ghoul, right? I mean, he's all right, I guess you could say, but he gets big when you see when the creature dies and wasn't regenerated. You know, so if you have it works good on like a breeding pit deck, a breeding pit. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with what a breeding pit is, every turn, you can put in a 1/1, or I think it's a 0/1 token, and that's what a breeding pit is, right? A 0/1 token creature, and then there's another card called Lord of the Pit, and we already talked about black, how easy it is to get cards out with black because of Dark Ritual and just heavy mana producing. Lord of the Pit requires you sacrifice a creature to keep him in play, and he's like a 7/7 huge big creature. So anyways, if you play this guy out, every time you sacrifice a creature to the Lord of the Pit, then this guy gets bigger. So it's a really good combo to throw together in a straight black deck that would work well back in the day. Probably wouldn't work too good now, but still kind of cool, kind of interesting. My dad used to play these all the time, and he was really big into the old stuff, just like I was. He still plays today, actually. My dad, he's pretty good. So I tell you, he's got a traumatized deck that is just mean, absolutely mean. So moving on. So I wanted to remember I told you about this this If Biff Freet guy. I wanted to explain the story to you. So anyways, there was, back in the day, what I would do is I would get a lot of sets together and just build them together, and then trade the set for a really nice card that was hard to get. Sometimes it would be a lot of sets to get a card. Sometimes it would be just a few, you know. So what I did was I traded for a Time Walk. Now, Time Walk, if anybody who knows Magic, Time Walk is one of the Power 9 cards, they call it, you know. Power 9, I'll explain it real quick to you. It's Ancestral Recall, which is 1 blue, draw 3 cards. Time Twister, which is 1 blue, 1 colorless. Put your hand, library, graveyard back into all together, shuffle them, and draw 7 new cards, right? Time Walk, which is 1 blue, 1 colorless, take an additional turn. Black Lotus, which is 0 casting cost artifact, gives 3 land of any color, tap and sack it. And then 1 each of the Moxes, which a Mox is a 0 casting cost artifact that produces that color land. So like say Mox Ruby produces a mountain, okay? So those are Power 9 cards. It's hard. Back in the day when I traded for these, they were still hard to come by, okay? Anyways, I went to a place called Sherazad was the store name, and I traded this guy. It wasn't this card exactly, but one like it. The If Biff of Freet, I think about a 90% complete set of 5th edition, a set of Tempest, and a set of Weatherlight. I think is all the stuff I traded, and I asked the guy to keep these cards back, and I would get them later for a Time Walk, and I got it. So happy, man! A Time Walk. So I had at that point I had all the Power 9 except for I think a Mox Emerald was the only one I was missing, and maybe like a Mox Jet. But I was pretty excited. You know, that's the best trade I ever made. A Time Walk for, you know, sets of cards, right? So this guy was a card shop. You know, he knew that he could make more money off the set of cards than he could off of this one other card that probably would have sat there forever before it got sold. So he traded to me, and you know, I ended up like getting rid of it years later for a car or down payment or something. But pretty cool story, you know. But I ended up going back and getting these cards, so it was pretty cool. Next we have Sherazad. Sherazad. Yeah, Sherazad. That's a lot to read. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to tell you what it does, because I know what it does. Basically, what you do is you stop your game of Magic that you have going on right now. You take your, it's like half your deck, and you start a new game of Magic, and then whoever wins that game of Magic, or whoever loses that game of Magic, loses half their life running down, and then you go back to the other game that you were. So it's like this thing was banned like almost immediately as it came out, because it's just crazy. I mean, you could sit there and play a game of Magic like an hour long with this card. If you had 4 of them, it would be ridiculous. So yeah, anyways, pretty cool card, just to talk about the stories on this one. This also signed by the artist. Yeah, you got this one too, Sorcerer's Queen, signed by the artist. But let's see. Oh, and then here's the Serendipity. This one originally came out of this set, and as you can tell, it's a blue card, right? The Serendipity, like I told you before, out of Revised, looks like the If Biff of Freet out of Arabian Nights, and it has a green color to it, but it's a blue card. It's very, very strange, right? So this is what he really looks like, and what originally looked like out of the original set. Pretty cool. And then I have a buddy of mine named Jason. His favorite card in the game is this guy. It's either this guy or the Findhorn Brownie, I think, is the other one out of Ice Age. But Stone Throwing Devils, I mean, just look at them. Ridiculous. It's like his favorite card in the set. Yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it for the Arabian Night experience that I had when I was a kid. And there's a couple other cards that I would like to throw in here as honorable mentions because they're cool. But Eureka, let's see, I can't remember what this one does right off, but this one's out of Legends. This one's out of Legends too, Mirror Universe. Eureka, both players may take any permanents in their hand and put them directly into play. Players take turns playing one card from their hand until neither wants to play anymore. So, no other spells or effects of any kind may be used while the effect is in, or Eureka is in effect. If a spell has an X in the casting cost, it's 0. So, that one's pretty cool because, like, say, if I can read this right and understand it, if a person had no cards in their hand, okay, and because it says until either person wants to not put anything else out in play, this would be the perfect card to play, like, say, if you were playing, say you're playing a big creature deck, and you just kept waiting to play out your cards because you just didn't have the land you needed, or, you know, you got a bad draw or something, right? And the person across from you playing some deck that plays real fast, and they're already out of cards. And then, you know, you take your turn, you draw up your 7th card or your 8th card, you know, because you haven't been able to put nothing down, and you draw this up. And you play it, and you're like, well, I'm just going to put my entire hand on the table. You know? And there you go. And now you got all these creatures out, and this guy here probably going to lose shortly afterwards. But that's the way I understand it. But the reason why I like this card is because of the E equals MC square on it. It's pretty cool. And then Mirror Universe is the other one. This one, I bought this back in the day for $50, whatever. But what it does is it trades life with your opponent. So let's say, you know, you've been taking damage. Now you're down to like 5 life, and your opponent's got, let's say, for example, they got a white deck that gives them constant life gain, and they got something like 50 life, and then they beat you to death, and now you're at 2 life or 5 life, and then you say, you know what, I'm gonna use this. Boom! Now give me your 50 life, and you can have my 5, and I'm gonna attack you, and you're dead now. So yeah, pretty cool to have 6 colorless. And like I said, back in the day, this is nothing to get 6 colorless at all. Nothing at all. There was a set called Antiquities. Before, this is the one that, it was the 2nd expansion, and it was before Legends. But Antiquities had these cards in them called like Urza's Tower, Urza something. I can't remember what they all were, but there was like 3 of them, right? And if you got all 3 of them in play, then they added a super amount of land to your, man, that's like 9 land. I don't remember how many it was exactly, but they give you like a combo bonus of land if you get them all in play. So 3 turns, you're able to get this guy out, no problem. Plus you had all the Moxes and Lotus. Just, yeah, super easy card to put in play at the time. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's my experience when it came to Arabian Nights, and I'm glad you could hang out with me and check out this trip down memory lane. This is one of my favorite sets by far. Just love all the cards and all the artwork, the mystery to it, kind of, you know, trying to find the cards. Just sometimes it's kind of ridiculous, but just really an awesome set, and a set that any serious collector would love to have. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, click that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.